I don't think I think people that play Minecraft is like really nice and small and like 8 years old.
Day 111. I started off by clearing out my inventory a little bit, made another pickaxe, put silk touch on it, and dropped down into the mine. I used my silk touch pickaxe to get this gold ore. I headed into the nether and used this area to build the piglin trading farm that I was planning to build. I had to head back home to grab some more deep slate. Once I finished it, the last step was to lead a piglin in, so I tried leading this archer piglin in, but that wasn't working, so after a little while, I killed him and tried to lead this piglin with a sword in, managed to punch him into the farm, collected a stack of gold, named this name tag and this piglin, and started to farm it. After farming the whole stack, all I really got was these boosts with soul speed 3, a fire resistance potion, and these spectral arrows.
You are done. Fired.
Then I went to bed. Day 113, I started by farming, and afterwards I traded all of the wheat that I got for some emeralds. I used these emeralds to buy another mending book, deposited some stuff that was in my inventory into these chests, and then I headed into the tower and put mending on my leggings, which completed my entire set of mending, and also put efficiency 4 on this pickaxe. Then I worked on turning this villager into a librarian and getting some good trades from him, and after a while I actually got fortune 2 for 11 emeralds, which was definitely worth it. I farmed all of the sugarcane, turned it into paper, traded it for some emeralds, and made some bread, went to bed, and bred the villagers. The next morning, I headed back into the nether and started looking for some quartz to mine so that I could fix the durability on my pants. I also got glowstone with my silk touch pickaxe, and then I got this achievement for exploring all of the nether biomes, which was really cool.
Damn. Here we go again.
After killing some endermen and healing my pants all the way, I headed down into the netherite mine. I made a bunch of beds and used them to start mining for some netherite. After a while, I actually did end up mining into some, and then I headed back home. Once I got back home, I worked on replacing more torches with glowstone and farmed all the sugarcane, turned it into paper, woke up this villager and traded all of my paper with him for some emeralds. Then I used the emeralds to buy a fortune 2 book and put it on my pickaxe. The next day, I started by shearing all of the sheep. I had to kill some more in the gray wool pin and headed back into the nether. I turned the wool into some beds and tried to blow up this bed without any wall in between us and almost died.
You don't want to be like this.
Which was really scary because I got down to 1 heart from it. I kept mining though. I found some more netherite and some more and even more. And once I ran out of beds, I headed back home. I actually had to come out with 7 netherite. I made a smithing table, made 2 netherite ingots, upgraded my pants, and then my chestplate. I made a diamond shovel, I made more golden apples, and put efficiency 2 on my shovel, as well as sweeping edge 3 on my sword. I worked on clearing out this area for a melon farm, made this 2x2 of water, planted the melons, and then made a second row and planted more melons in it. I farmed all the sugarcane again, turned it into paper, traded it with the villagers, and headed back into the nether. I started heading to the nether fortress, trapped the strider into one of the pillars again, and started heading back up into the fortress. I farmed blazes for a little while for some blaze rods, and by the end of it, I actually had 23. I headed back home and actually had to deal with a phantom for the first time in the world, but the cats scared them away, so I was actually fine. I turned my blaze rods into blaze powder and used it to turn my ender pearls into eyes of ender. I made some more golden apples and once again headed back into the nether. There, I headed into the warp forest and worked on killing some endermen for some more ender pearls. After a while, I headed back to home again and farmed all of my wheat, traded it with this villager, and went to bed. Day 120, I bought a mending book, made another lectern, and worked on getting a good trade with this villager. After accidentally hitting him and a ton of attempts, I finally got infinity out of him, which I really needed. So I headed back home, farmed some wheat, and all of the sugarcane again, and turned it into paper again. Then I farmed all the sugarcane surrounding my island, turned all of that into paper, sold all of it to this villager, and finally bought an infinity book. I headed back to my tower and put infinity on my bow, then I put mending on my axe, and threw this eye of ender to see which direction it would go and what direction I would have to head in the morning. But before I embarked on the adventure, I went to bed and got ready for the next 10 days.
Wake up in the mornings with some gas, I feel lovely. Yo, this in my line, she keep saying that she love me. I can never love a bitch, my attitude